McClinton is a Flint Water Warrior, and she is with Flint Democracy Defense League.
Thank you, and thank you all for inviting and having this wonderful, wonderful event in order to come together, exchange ideas, and move forward. We got a lot of work to do. I wanted to just simply say, because everybody's saying, well, what's going on now in Flint, what's happening in Flint? The way I describe it is like this. In August of 2016, when the then President Obama came to Flint, and we had demonstrations outside of the place that he was speaking, and we were saying to the president, we want clean water and we want it now. What do we want? Clean water. When do we want it now? What do we want? Clean water. When do we want it now? If we don't get it, shut it down. So we was trying to encourage the president to do something about our water situation. So today, our chant is this. What do we want? Clean water. When do we want it now? What do we want? Clean water. When do we want it now? If we don't get it, shut it down. So there has been no significant and fundamental change in the situation in Flint. There are some things, we're not going to pretend like nothing is happening, but what we're saying is there's a long way before we come out of this crisis that we can look back and say it's over. We're a long way from that. And I just want to say, we're coming up on our 5 years. 5 years since the water was switched. And that's going to be next month, April 25th is when the water was switched. And we're having some events then, and we're having some events on the 27th, that Saturday. And you all are welcome, and we'll give you information how to get in touch. But I did want to say a word of, moment of silence, or part of our program will be dedicated to 3 women who've passed away in the last 2 months. Mary J. Watson, age 43. Jasmine McBride, age 30. And Lori Carter, age 53. They passed away, among other things, exposure to Legionella. So we are a long way from resolution, and reconstruction is what we need in Flint. We have the same demands we had 5 years ago. And those demands included a Medicare for all those impacted by the Flint water disaster. We have shared with everybody from Nancy Pelosi, our Representative Kildee. We've shouted it out at the Capitol. They have done this before, it's not new. Libby, Montana, back in early 2000, was declared a health emergency. And finally, in 2008, when the Affordable Care Act, was that 2008 or 10, when the Affordable Care Act was passed, they put a provision in that act, what we commonly know as Obamacare, where the residents of Libby, Montana would get Medicare regardless of age. And those that couldn't afford, who wasn't eligible for Medicaid, they set up a special fund so they could get their medicine and like home care and all that kind of stuff. This has been done. There is a city in this country that's got Medicare for all, health care regardless of age, as a result of a man-made disaster. And we in Flint been asking for the same thing. Now, I know I don't have much time, but I do want to say this. We know that the substance and the roots of the problems we face was born out of the drive to profiteer off the water systems in this state. Now, let's get down to the crux of the matter. Capitalism and bondholder savaging public resources is what drove our city into the crises. So we have to keep that in mind, because if we don't understand, like Sun Tzu said, who is your enemy? Know thy enemy, know thyself. If you don't know who the enemy is, who you gonna fight? Each other. Hello.
That's right.
So we just we're trying to. So I'm just gonna end by saying this: when the crisis first began, we would ask ourselves, who poisoned Flint? The governor, DEQ, EPA, our representatives. Who poisoned Flint? But now 5 years in, we're saying, what poisoned Flint? What poisoned Flint? A system that's been driven with the profit motive where human lives don't matter. And so we graduating a little bit so that we can fight for another day. Thank you.
Gina Luster, she's a co-founder of Flint Rising and director of Dying for a Drink.
Good evening. It's evening now. My name is Gina Luster, and I'm from Flint, and this is not my scope of things. 5 years ago, I was in the fashion industry and music videos and moved back home and said, what the hell happened? It looked like a third world country to me compared to 15 years prior when I had left Flint. So that's kind of how I got started in the activism. Of course, I got sick and decided that it would be best for me to get out and join the folks like Ms. Claire McClinton. I was seeing them on TV in the snow, and I'm like, wow, they're awesome. I decided that it would be best for me to get out and join them besides sitting at home having a pity party because I didn't know I was sick. I mean, I was 30-ish at the time and walking around with a walking cane. I mean, literally, that's how sick I was. I lost teeth, I lost hair, I lost my job. I had to sue the state of Michigan for my unemployment. Eviction notices were a norm to me and my daughter. It's been a hell of a ride. But in saying that, I've had awesome opportunities during this 5 years to not only learn from folks like Ms. Claire and Mama Lila and Nair Sharif and all the other water warriors and Flint activists around. I've learned so many things, and I've been blessed to travel and represent Flint and speak about what happened to us. And as Ms. Claire said, what happened to us, who did it, and why. I have a 10-year-old, and she asked me, well, why did this happen? And the question I have to answer and tell her the truth. Greedy corporations. There were some men sitting at a table that don't look like you and I making decisions for a city that was black and brown. I mean, that's the simplest answer I can give to a 10-year-old, and I hope and I think she understands it. But because of time, I want to quickly talk about some of the work that Flint Rising has been doing along with some of our partners. And one of the big partners that I say that we have, because they're so awesome, is corporate accountability. And they've really taken us by the hand because we're such a new organization. We're only a few years old. And they've really kind of taken us by the hand and kind of guided us through this crisis, because we were kind of in a bubble. At least I know I was. And I just wanted to go down to City Hall and choke the former mayor and choke all of the emergency managers. And working with these other organizations, I found out that anger, first of all, has to be towards the right people in the right branch of government. That's something I learned. And also, there's a way to tell that anger to do good. And so that's what I've been trying to do these last 5 years, is do as much good as I can and try to move the city forward. So last end of January, I was invited to go and represent Flint, Michigan in Nigeria at a water summit. And there were people from all over the world there. And none of us really spoke the same language, but during the whole entire 8 days, I kept hearing the same 2 or 3 corporations: Nestle, Viola. And I'm like, what is going on here? I have no idea what you guys are saying, but I know those names, and I know that they were a part of the Flint water crisis, and you need to stay away from them. And so, in being there in this panel, come to find out, Nestle is now in Nigeria trying to privatize their water. They have a magnificent water facility plant there. We actually loaded up on buses, went out there and protested. And it's ironic that the Nestle water plant is walking distance from a village where they have no water. Literally walking distance. We decided we were gonna show off and not take the buses down to the village, and we walked. And I was like, I can't believe how close this is. And I got to meet some of what they call the water women, who walk miles for water. And 3 days before we were there, Nestle had found out, I guess, and they installed these solar panels and these almost like what you see at the beach that you wash your feet off with. And they were supposed to provide water. Well, the people in the village explained to us that the water ran for 1 day, and people came from all over with these big buckets on their head to get water. And while we were there, people were still migrating there to only find out they've walked 10 miles and this thing is just bone dry. Bone dry. And you got babies running around. It was just amazing how close you could be to a large corporation. They literally have to drive by these babies on their way to work in the morning and see them suffering with malaria and yellow fever and all these waterborne illnesses, because these babies have to drink out of the same water next to the cow that their dad is farming with. So it's just remarkable how strong they are, and it changed my life. I know everyone goes to Africa and comes back and says that, but these people are so strong and resilient and smiling and wanted to check out my camera and wanted to play in my hair. And I'm just like, you haven't had water in how long? And you're still happy and you're still smiling and you're still welcoming. And I said, I'm gonna take this back to Flint. I was fortunate enough to be able to live stream while I was there. And so many people, it was a 6-hour time difference, but it was like 3 o'clock in the morning when I went live streaming. And so many people came on and said, we're not gonna complain again. And I said, no, we're gonna complain, but we're gonna complain with them. We're gonna join their struggle. If we have to bring some of them over here, and if I have to save my pennies and continue to go over there, we're gonna fight Nestle, we're gonna fight Viola, we're gonna fight these big greedy corporations who have no sense of empathy for human life. It's all about profit, profit, profit. I heard some people say, it's only a few villages. There's a village over there, they have water. Well, let me see you walk 10 miles to get water. Let me see your daughter in the morning, she can't shower, she can't brush her teeth, wash her hair, because some guy decided that she didn't mean enough and her life was not important enough for her to have the human right that we all should have, water. Thank you.